Hey everybody, this is Marty, the JavaScript Party, and Rhett. We've just sort of finished watching a good part of yesterday's marathon video. Um, as you might be noticing, there's like some sort of, I'm pretty sure it's an OS issue that's causing the camera to be real weird. Um, Now it is possible that like it's something that I could fix. You know what I mean? Like maybe some OS thing, and now you can like create a setting or something that would make the jaggediness go away that wasn't available before or had some other default before that made it not do this. Um, but it is weird, and this is like sort of your classic bleeding edge sort of issue. So like in my last video, I think I'm going to turn off the camera because I do think that is pretty distracting down there, and just sort of keep my ear to the ground. Maybe, actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to deactivate my camera, and then let's go to ChatGPT and see if it knows anything. For some reason, when I am making videos on Windows. What is this? Windows with OBS. My camera recently started getting very jumpy. Any ideas? Question mark. Yes. Okay, so I don't think any of this sort of gives any sort of like, I think these are all like not, don't seem to be rooted in like any new information that may have come out. Um, I think and I do think that whenever you see something like this, there's a very good chance that they're like, this is new. Or it's possible. Like, I remember when I worked at this one place, and we used to have, we were building this big Microsoft Access application back in, I want to say it was 1998 or 1999. And we had like, the company that we worked for paid like $2,000 for us to have like 15 consults where we could call Microsoft and they would help us with any coding issues or problems with like, for some reason we can't connect to the database or whatever. And we would call them, and literally every time we call them, we would talk to them for 2 hours and we would not get a resolution. And then they would be like, oh, okay, so this was one of your things. And we were like, no, you can't count this. You didn't help us. You can't count this as one of our episodes, like. And then so that, but what was really just the worst, just the craziest, is they would often call us like a week later and say, hey, did you ever figure that out? Did you guys figure that out? And we would be like, yeah. And they'd be like, oh, so what was the resolution? You can help all kinds of other people. And we're like, um, well, what are you going to give us? And so quite often we were able to negotiate, like, if we told them how we resolved it, they would give us like a couple more instances where we'd call them. Because like a lot of times when we called them, they could actually help us. They'd be like, oh, so in this settings, you just need to go check this, that, this, or that. And then they would fix it or whatever. So, so there was, I'm not trying to imply that they never brought value, but they quite often wanted to get credit for bringing value when they didn't, or they wanted to us for us to bring them value without any compensation. And that's when you used to have to pay for everything. It's a little different now with open source and stuff. Like if an open source developer would like you to tell them, how something worked, or for you to write some code to help them or something like that, that's a whole different thing than like when you're paying for all kinds of licenses and it's supposed to be like everything's just supposed to work and it doesn't work the way it's supposed to work and stuff like that. But anyways, we got this working. It took like an hour and a half yesterday. It was crazy. And now we're in a situation where we're not as like, obviously we have more obvious milestones that we need to get to, but this is probably a good place where we got the sort of the whole framework, sort of the bones. We've got the bones in place, and so it would be good to get a good commit at this point. But we have 52 frigging files, and that's a lot for a single commit, in my personal opinion. And there's going to be code in here that we absolutely do not want committed. So we do have to, the first step will be to go through and just look over the code and just see if there's any garbage code in here that we just don't want to make it in the commit. And this is just a first pass. So I think this is fine. Some of these are wrong, and I think it's fine. I don't think there's any reason to go back and fix. I think we misspelled components. Yeah. So components, and stuff like that. But I do think that this is our history, so let's keep it. Let's see if there's anything. So there's nothing in here that I want to get rid of. Yeah, that's fine for now. It's probably actually going to be how it is. So app components. So basically what this is saying is that this should not just go in the flow, that these will be set, and I think that is the case. We are going to set these things specifically on the screen, and we haven't built any of that out yet. Let's see if there's any code. Here's where we have a good chance of finding some code that we just don't want to make the work, and all of this code is going to go away. So no reason to take a good hard look. We just don't want anything like console logs or anything like super annoying to go in there. So yeah, we don't want that. And then boom. So that is that. Man, so Rhett got real loud in my last use it or lose it video. But she's super quiet now. She's just working on her. Let's see, let's activate it. She's just working on her little tail feathers, making sure everything's fine, trying to look pretty. All right. Yeah, that is definitely going to need to change, but for now, I think is okay. It is funny that the background color is white. I wonder what that's doing. This component. Oh, I think that was so that we would know that it was actually rendering. We probably don't need that anymore, and it probably is a bit of a distraction. So let's go ahead and get rid of that. And then it will apply it. We shouldn't see any changes. It won't. Oh, so HMR. Yeah, HMR update sent to the client. So that is module redraw maybe, but yeah, that's pretty neat. I really like that. Wonder what happens if I make this 300. And see, that's where the white background would probably be useful. Color. Azure. Yeah, so basically right now and I don't know how I'm going to want it in the end, but right now the actual containing element is bigger than the drawed element, and I think that is what I want, because I do think that maybe at some point I'm going to want to be able to maybe add extra stuff around the outside. So now if I make this 200 and 200, then we won't see it. And I guess it is worthwhile having that other color back there, now that I think about it. We will definitely need to do some work in there, probably. Well, probably not, actually. Oh, who knows? We'll find out. Okay, so we definitely want to get rid of these console logs. Not to say that those console logs aren't going to be useful, and they'll probably just end up coming right back, but I don't want to commit them. And then index. I think that makes sense. This is our rollup folder, that rollup file that just basically exports everything. And then camera, geometry. Oh. HT renderer. HT scene. Let's go ahead and fix that. ST visualization. So we're in our interfaces, and these are just whole new interfaces that we ended up creating. So this is interesting. Okay, so ST animation service is not even, I don't think we even run this. Oh, this is our interfaces. ST geometry, ST mesh. So this is our unit tests. And so what it's saying is that an ST geometry no longer has an ST width. And I do remember changing that. And yeah, so, and I don't remember exactly how that is supposed to be. And I guess this isn't really the round to fix that in. Definitely needs to be fixed. And probably tomorrow I'll start to work on unit tests. But for now, all I'm doing is going through, just making sure there's nothing that I just don't want in there. It's always very embarrassing if you put something just really ridiculous in the code like this. So this is always my first step, is just go through and just get rid of anything that is just ridiculous in the code. And there usually is. And it is good to kind of get in your head that, oh yeah, we've broken some unit tests. And that can be kind of an argument that maybe we updated those unit tests too early in the process. And here we go. I guess this is weird because, you know, since there's no video in there, you can't really see. Man, it's crazy how much code, how many files there are. Let's see. Okay, we got like 6 files left. And there we go. Ah, here's another one. So yesterday we bought a minivan. It's like we have a grandchild coming, and so just nobody has a vehicle that everyone can use. So, but the thing is we bought it like on a Saturday night, and I sold cars for a little bit. It didn't do very well, but I sold cars for a little bit back in the 1980s. And one thing I had learned then, and it's probably still true today, is a deal is not a deal until you make the first payment in the mail. So it's going to be very interesting on Monday when my wife goes in to give them the title of the car and stuff like that, to see if they try to pull anything. I'll definitely keep you guys appraised of what happens. But anyway, so we have gone through, we've done our sort of let me turn the webcam on. We've gone through and we've done the first update of code, like the first cleanup pass. We saw that there's at least one unit test that is just going to be completely broken because of this. So tomorrow, first thing I'm going to do is just run the unit tests and see what breaks. We 100% know they're going to break, and then kind of go from there. Once we have all the unit tests fixed, we will then check out the code coverage and see if there's any code that isn't being covered. Right now, they should all get covered because app and that viz generate everything. So let me see if I can kind of not move much. So this guy and this guy, they sort of run all the code. So the full code coverage should. So if it isn't 100% code coverage, that'll be a pretty good indication that maybe I have some dead code or something that isn't being executed at all, and sort of try to figure out why. And then if it is being 100% run, then I think the next step might be to sort of comment out the code that executes this and this and see where my code coverage is, because I'm assuming that a bunch of missing code will appear, and then that'll be a good time to sort of flesh out the rest of the unit tests and get it all working, get back up to 100% code coverage, re-enable these things, and then go to end to end. Once the end to end is, if the end to end passes, and we'll update the end to end to also look for this element here. Once that new end to end is working and everything's passing, then I think it's time to do a commit of basically this is our foundational framework, the completion of the foundational framework, and then it will be the next thing will be to implement the animations on this guy so that it's kind of doing something like this, and then kind of go through the whole. Hopefully it's not going to be so big though. This whole process again of cleaning up the code, unit tests, end-to-end tests, and then we'll have two animated things. So I think once we have this animated, we'll have our sort of our baseline, so we can just get rid of this guy completely. And then it's so wild. So we're not getting the jerkiness in this, just in the camera, which is weird. But anyway, so we'll get the end-to-end working here, and then, I mean, we'll get rid of this, sort of update the end-to-end tests. We'll leave the home page script there because, and then I think, no, okay, then we'll add the 3 dots up here, and then we'll get rid of this first, and we'll make it to where you can add new things, and it sort of automatically sort of lays itself out properly, so that they are not on top of each other. And then we'll get rid of the one that gets built by default, and then kind of go through the whole process. And then maybe and probably we'll add like the ability to add a new rotation. What am I thinking? Oh well. Oh, that every time you add one, you sort of get some sort of variance. So maybe different sizes, different meshes, different kinds of things, and then go through the whole process again, and then we're done. The foundation is complete, and we can start becoming a little bit more feature orientated, and that will be nice. And I'm desperately hoping that that will be all done by March 31st, which is in fact my birthday, but I kind of doubt it. Anyways, happy coding, everybody. Bye.